welcome to this session here in the Buildings and Cooling Pavilion on a project we are currently conducting on a house of no waste. And I would like first to present the project to you. Then I have some interactive parts where I would like to learn about you, and then the way forward. So why do we think that developing a house of no waste is a good strategy? First of all, I would like to introduce you to a concept that we at United Nations University and at the Institute focusing on the integrated management of environmental resources are using. It's the resource nexus. And there we look at waste. We are here for a session of a house of no waste. But we also look at water, at energy, at climate, at soil, at biota. In all of those areas, we also can have waste. And if we look at the resource nexus, we look at the resources first of all, and then we look at their interconnectivity. And that means we look at their synergies, we look at their trade-offs. And as I already said, very often we only connect waste to material waste. And we know that in Germany, this is our figures from Germany, 60% of the waste we generate in Germany is construction waste. This is a considerable amount. But we also have waste in other areas, like space, unused space. We at United Nations University, for example, have introduced a floating office concept where we use our space in a more efficient way. That means we do not have our own offices, our own desk. Also, the director doesn't have an own office, but we share it, and that also means we avoid space waste, you could call it, because if there is a room and it's not used, it's also waste of resources. Or energy, we know that 34% of global energy demand is connected to buildings, and if you use energy in a building, but there is no one, for example, or if the window is always open, if the production process isn't efficient, that's also waste. So that really means we take this waste perspective and integrate it into all the resources. And here you have all the figures for the different environmental resources. Maybe one more. Again, data from Germany. We know that in Germany nowadays we still seal 50 hectares per day. For me, it's always 1 hectare is 1 football field. It's not exactly correct, but it's something I can imagine. Every day, and our space is limited. So that really means that we also have to act on that. So what is waste in buildings and construction? It's not only the material waste, but all the other resources that are used and can be saved, we also consider as waste. And the idea of this house of no waste is to become resource positive, not only resource efficient, but resource positive. And for this, we apply the circular economy strategies of the European Union. You might be familiar with them. They are called 9 Rs. And for example, one is to refuse, or to reduce, or to reuse. In the European Union, we now also introduced, for example, a right to repair, or also remanufacture. And we can apply all those strategies also in construction, for example, by reusing structural elements. Steel beams, for example. I already mentioned this idea of a floating office concept. It's not only an idea, we practice it already. Or that we use wastewater in toilets. Just to give you a few examples what we mean when we talk about waste in construction. And I would like to present to you today our vision. Our vision is to have a house of no waste, with all the different elements that I introduced to you, that we really avoid impact from construction and buildings on climate, on water, on energy consumption, on biota, on soil. How do we want to do that? We got funding for an architecture competition that we are currently preparing, where we ask architects, planners, engineers, just people worldwide, to develop concepts for houses of no waste. And if I say no waste, it means they should be truly circular. That also means that we should avoid using primary material and aim for secondary material, for example. We also go for modular design and also mixed uses. Very often you need a house for a specific target, for a specific objective, a specific use. Then you don't need it anymore, and then it's useless. I do not know what will happen with this COP29 building. It's interesting to see, and that's also something, if you plan such an event, such a huge conference, already to keep in mind what will come after. This competition for a house of no waste is an architecture competition where architects, engineers can participate worldwide, and we are in partnership already with governments also worldwide, and then those houses shall be built. So you can contribute with your ideas, you can form teams, and then you can apply. And why are you here now? Why do I want now to interact with you? I would like to invite you to co-shape with us this house of no waste. So rethink what we mean when we talk about waste, rethink perspectives of buildings for the future, so that we can then really say, we have here an example in a specific country with a specific context of a house of no waste. And for this, I now hand over to my two colleagues, Nico and Sonja, for some questions for you that you can participate. Can you scan the QR code? If not, then we can also walk around with a mic and ask you. That's also an option. I think we have another mic here. Do we have another mic? It should work, okay. It works, good. If it works, it works. Let's see. Otherwise, I just pass the mic. That's then also an option. It works. Okay. I'm patient.
So once you finished, I know it's a lot of questions, it looks like, but you can just tag them. The important point is that you submit it at the end. So we will see the results then here on the screen. So take your time and have a good look, and we can discuss after that when we see the answers on display.
Okay, oh, we had some results, now they disappear. Let's see. Okay, we have experts in architecture, waste management, so already 2 potential partners. Urban agriculture, cool. So already 3 really diverse perspectives. Construction materials. Media, so I think that's already quite nice. We could even say that these are all elements of systems of innovation. So we have the architects, that's quite obvious, and if we speak of a house of no waste, also waste management, but then also the materials perspective, the urban agriculture perspective, and media. So maybe we can, you can still fill it, and actually you can also share this QR code. That was also the reason why we thought let's do it like that, because you can also share it after the session, and then you can join this community. That is the idea, that if you have colleagues from different disciplines, just share the QR code and then they can contribute. Also quite interesting, we have colleagues for whom this topic is totally new. Some would like to do more, and also experts. I think that's also important, that we do not only speak to the converted who already say, oh, I do this, but also colleagues for whom the topic is new. And again, like for the disciplines, we want to collaborate with all the disciplines, and we also want to collaborate with all levels of expertise. And again, share this QR code with colleagues who might be interested to co-shape this house of no waste. Then we can go to the next question. So if yes, maybe share examples from your practice. We recycle over 43 million tons of other industries' waste. These are wonderful examples. If you already have experience in waste, what we can do with it. Maybe you can still type, and again, we collect. Let's just now go to the next answer. And as I presented the 9 R's to you, so those 9 R's from the European Union's framework on circular economy. We have expertise in refuse. So the example of refuse is that you really do not need something, for example, space. Of rethinking, that you share, for example. Reducing energy use, for example. Reusing, for example, water. These are just a few examples. Repair, I mentioned the EU right to repair, and we have also now, I would say, in some areas really repair movements. This is also quite interesting because from a psychological perspective, very often we associate repair with old, and something new is good. And I think that's also then a topic where psychologists come in. And actually we also collaborate with psychologists here already. Refurbish, you can do this, for example, with furniture. I mentioned here all those pavilions. These are wonderful examples for options for refurbishment. Remanufacture, that means, for example, you have steel beams that you can manufacture and then use for other purposes. Repurpose, if you have a production hall, that from the outset you already think of different potential uses of those production halls in the future. Then you can exchange the machines and they have another purpose. And recycling, where we, for example, crush concrete and then use it also as a secondary material. Next one, please. Which of these resources do you work with? I introduced the resource nexus to you and said, when we say resource nexus, we look at all the environmental materials. We have here water, biota, soil, material, space. So space can be square meters and space can be cubic meters. For example, the person who works on urban agriculture, we have a project where we look into vertical farming. So that means the same amount of square meters is used in a more efficient way. And actually, it's then also connected to soil that we already had on the list, because then you also have different production methods for vertical farming. Climate, there we look at the different elements that can be, you have solar panels where you use radiation, we can use wind as a climate element, so whatever. We can store energy, for example, in facades. That's an example where we also collaborate with engineers doing that. Waste, and that's also quite interesting. I mentioned already the example of vertical farming. Food is also mentioned, and well, that's I didn't explicitly mention, when we look at those resources, we do not only look at those resources on land, but also on sea. We know that some cities also expand their space by expanding into the sea, or if we think of wind turbines, then also into the sea. So we can think also of options there to be creative. Next one. So again, huge expertise here already. Next one. Which material do you think has the most untapped potential for reuse in buildings? And there we just thought everyone can just type in. We have material that is mentioned here, like plastic, concrete, straw bales, but also traditional wisdom. And actually, I think also traditional knowledge is an unused resource in many cases. And so that's something, to be honest, in this context, we have not yet integrated in our work. So thank you very much for this inspiration. And then the combination, I mentioned already the nexus approach we are taking. That also means that we should then also combine all the options for solutions. Next one, please. And here we are, so thank you very much, and please. You have more questions, but I do not. It will come. Number. Okay. So we have more questions, but now okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for helping me out here. So we have more questions. You answered them, and now we take a little break regarding your answers. And I would like to look at the roadmap together with you. We already finalized almost the preparatory phase, but therefore, we said we have to bring this to the COP. You still can become a collaborator, and also your colleagues who are not yet here, you can join us in experts panels, for example. And of course, if you have funding for houses like that, we always can go back to the preparatory phase. Then we already do promoting outreach. For example, in the last COP, we already had a press conference on that topic. You can also become a jury member, or you can nominate people who can become a jury member. Maybe, for example, if we have submissions from specific countries, that we have country experts. And after the competition, we also want to spread the word. Advocacy is an important topic for us at United Nations as well, and we want to spread the work. And then you can also, even if you just listen now, you can also contribute after the competition. And now we continue with the other answers of the questionnaire. How would you like to engage? So therefore, I now presented the roadmap. You can sign up and then you just get updates, and again, also share this with colleagues. If you say, I have a specific expertise, then you can contribute to a webinar and just give us the expertise, like, for example, the traditional knowledge you mentioned, join expert panels, funding. So whatever you think and also other, just share your ideas. Next one. We have your names. We go to the next page, please, because this should be also emails. No, and we have no. I think the positions are anonymous. Again, like the diversity of the different professions, we also see here that, or different expertise, we also see the different levels, and I think this is again a nice mix. Again, there is really a broad variety of potential. Please don't show this, to contribute. And what I have one more. For those who did not have the chance to properly take the QR code to the survey, you can again take a picture here and share it. And I will just take a sip of water. And then I think I have one more slide, right? Just for Malia, that you know. So, and I would like to invite you all, yes, to come to our city, Dresden, in April. There will be the next Global ABC Annual Assembly. We have a lot of research on construction in our city, and therefore our rector, who actually is based in Japan, visited the Global ABC Secretariat this October, and we had a nice conversation, and then it was agreed that we are a good place to go. We have a huge perspective. We are, of course, member of ABC, but also can invite you to some site visits. This is our city, and please already mark the date. More details will follow by Malia. And welcome to Dresden already now. I'm looking forward to welcoming you in our city. Thank you so much. So do we still have a few minutes if someone has a question, or is it already? What's the time? Sorry, I have...
36 and you have 10 minutes.
Okay, good. So if you want to interact, I'm still here for questions. Otherwise, I drink again water.